the Timekeeper's burden. As I trudged through the muddy trenches, the weight of all my burdens threatened to crush me. I had witnessed the birth of empires and their subsequent downfall, the rise of great leaders and their tragic demise. But nothing could have prepared me for the horrors of World War I. The stench of death hung heavy in the air, and the cries of the wounded echoed through my mind like a requiem. I had seen it all before, having been casted through time, yet the futility of war still managed to shock me. The faces of the soldiers were etched in my memory, their eyes vacant, their souls lost in the chaos. I knew them all, the French, the British, the Germans, each side convinced of their righteousness, each side blinded by their hatred. And I, Elijah, was doomed to watch as they slaughtered each other in the name of progress or righteousness. As I walked, the sound of artillery fire grew louder, and I quickened my pace. I had to reach the command center before it was too late. The fate of the war, perhaps the fate of humanity itself, hung in the balance. A slight deviation from the timeline, and the consequences would be catastrophic. I had to ensure that the course of events unfolded as it was meant to, no matter the cost to my own sanity. The trenches seemed to stretch on forever, a labyrinth of death and despair. I pushed aside the curtain of canvas that separated the command center from the outside world, and stepped into the dimly lit room. The air was thick with smoke, and the smell of sweat and fear hung heavy over the gathered officers. I recognized them all. Haig, Pershing, Ludendorff, each one a pawn in the grand game of history. Their eyes flickered towards me as I entered, but they paid me no mind. They were too consumed by their own importance, too blinded by their ambition. I was just a timekeeper, a relic from a future that had yet to come, a prisoner of chronology. But I knew the truth that I was the one who truly held the power. I cleared my throat, and the room fell silent. "Gentlemen," I began, my voice low and steady, "the time has come to make a decision. The fate of the war, perhaps the fate of humanity itself, hangs in the balance. Will you choose the path of progress, or will you succumb to the darkness that has consumed us all?" Their faces remained impassive, but I saw the flicker of uncertainty in their eyes. They knew I wasn't one of them, that I didn't belong in their world. But they also knew I possessed knowledge they couldn't ignore. Haig, the British commander, spoke up, his voice gruff and skeptical. "What do you mean, Mr. Elijah? The fate of humanity hangs in the balance? You're being dramatic, aren't you?" I smiled, a cold, mirthless smile. "Dramatic? You think this is drama, General? You think the screams of the wounded, the stench of death, the futility of war is drama? I've seen it all, gentlemen. I've seen the rise and fall of empires, the birth of new ideas, and the decay of old ones. I've witnessed humanity's greatest achievements and its darkest atrocities. And I'm telling you, this war is different. This war has the power to change the course of history." Pershing, the American general, leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. "What do you propose we do, Mr. Elijah? You're not exactly known for your neutrality. How do we know you're not leading us into a trap?" I laughed, a dry, humorless sound. "Neutrality? Ha! I'm the one who's been trapped, gentlemen. Trapped in this never-ending cycle of time, forced to watch as humanity makes the same mistakes over and over again. I'm not leading you into a trap, I'm trying to lead you out of one. The question is, will you listen?" The room fell silent again, the only sound the ticking of the clock on the wall. It was a reminder, a constant reminder of the burden I carried. Time was running out, and I knew it. I could feel it, sense it in every fiber of my being. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and I was the only one who could tip the scales. I took a deep breath, my heart heavy with the weight of my responsibility. "If you fight this battle, you will lose enough men that your lines will fail. The enemy will be able to overrun this position. Everything behind us will fall. Gentlemen, I implore you. Make the right decision. Choose the path of progress, not destruction. The world is watching. The clock is ticking, and time is running out." The room remained silent, the weight of my words hanging in the air like a challenge. I knew what they were thinking, that I was a madman, a lunatic with delusions of grandeur. But I also knew that they were intrigued, that my words had struck a chord deep within their souls. Haig was the first to break the silence, his voice laced with skepticism. "And what makes you think we'll listen to you, Mr. Elijah? What makes you think you have the knowledge of what might be?" I smiled again, a cold, calculated smile. "I've seen the future, gentlemen. I've seen the devastating consequences of your actions. I've seen the world burn, and I've seen humanity reduced to ashes. And I'm telling you, this battle is not worth it." Pershing leaned back in his chair, his eyes never leaving mine. "What do you propose we do, then? Lay down our arms and surrender? Abandon our duty to our countries?" I shook my head, my heart heavy with the weight of my knowledge. "No, gentlemen. I'm not asking you to surrender. I'm asking you to see reason. To see that this battle is not about you winning or losing, but about you surviving it to fight another day. In doing so, humanity itself will survive." As I finished speaking, the room fell silent once more. But this time, it was different. This time, I saw something in their eyes, a glimmer of hope, a spark of understanding. And in that moment I knew that I had done it. I had changed the course of history. I had ensured that humanity would survive, that the world would not be consumed by the darkness that had threatened to destroy it. And as I walked out of the command center, I knew that this burden had been lifted.